Gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized for 2 minutes.
Geez, we could talk for 2 hours. First, one of the things that hasn't been mentioned here, the increase in the earned income tax credit for single people has a marriage penalty in it. I bring it up because I know the strength that Black Lives Matter had in this last election. I know it's a group that it doesn't like the old-fashioned family. Disturbed that we have another program here in which we're increasing the marriage penalty.
Mr. Speaker, and I hope my colleague from Wisconsin will not leave at this time, as he's talked about Black Lives Matter. How dare you say that Black Lives Matter, Black people do not understand old-fashioned families. Despite some of the issues, some of the things that you have put forward that I've heard out of your mouth in the Oversight Committee, in your own district, we have been able to keep our families alive for over 400 years, and the assault on our families to not have Black lives or not even have Black families. How dare you say that we are not interested in families in the Black community? That is outrageous. That should be stricken down. I was going to talk about the American Rescue Plan. We know that this is going to provide relief to not only Black lives, Black Americans, but all Americans, that we are interested in children and in their welfare. And at this time, I yield back.
I'm going to paraphrase a pretty widely used quote here and say, when you come out the queen, you best not miss. This is Republican Congressman Glenn Grothman attacking Black Lives Matter on the House floor, suggesting, absurdly, that the earned income tax credit favoring singles is to the benefit of Black Lives Matter, at which point Representative Stacey Plaskett systematically dismantles him, if not for the completely baseless reference, then for the shameless racism. Now, what's most telling here is that Grothman may have actually raised a fair point about the earned income tax credit favoring singles, but instead of making that point and arguing on those merits, he decided to make it racist and baselessly use this point about the EITC to attack Black Lives Matter. It was more important to scapegoat Black people than to simply make a point that would have otherwise been worth discussing. In case you needed another example of how Republicans' entire agenda is predicated on division and scapegoating non-whites. Consider too, this would be the perfect opportunity for Republicans like Grothman to defer back to the old Republican adage that all lives matter by voting for the American Relief Plan, which is legislation that benefits all people, all families, Democrats and Republicans, liberals and conservatives, Black and white. This is a bill that will give $1,400 checks to all eligible Americans regardless of skin color. Legislation that will fund $300 a week in jobless benefits for all eligible Americans regardless of skin color. Legislation that will fund up to $3,600 in child allowances, cutting child poverty in half in this country, benefiting children of all skin colors. Legislation to fund schools and restaurants in states and cities and vaccine distribution, all of which benefits all Americans regardless of skin color. So if Grothman and the rest of his party really do care about all lives like they claim, then they would have supported this massively popular bill that more than 3/4 of Americans support. Instead, 0 Republicans in the House and 0 Republicans in the Senate voted for it. As if that wasn't bad enough that Republicans created this crisis by refusing to contain the virus while it was still possible, opting instead to kowtow to Trump's anti-science pandering, now they're refusing to participate in the solution. But with that said, fine. The COVID bill passed both the House and Senate anyway, and if Republicans want to ensure that Democrats can promote this massively popular legislation as coming solely from Democrats, then that's fine by me. So when you get your $1,400 checks, remember, you have Democrats and Democrats alone to thank. When a family of 4 making under $150,000 a year receives $8,200 between stimulus money and child tax credits, remember, you have Democrats and Democrats alone to thank. When your city or town is able to successfully administer your vaccine to you because the site was properly funded, allowing you to finally visit your friends and family again, remember, you have Democrats and Democrats alone to thank. Whatever element of this historic package you want to focus on, just know that Republicans decided unanimously that they didn't want to be a part of it. Instead, Republicans decided that the hill they want to die on was using this relief package as an excuse to attack Black people, because that party is not interested in governing, and that's no surprise. Republicans are outspoken in their disdain for government. They do not want it to work, because if they can prove that government is dysfunctional, then they can point to that as justification to shrink it even more. But the crisis that we're mired in right now is a testament to the dangers of small government, of a government that is intentionally broken, a government that refuses to look out for people when they they need it. In just the last 4 years, that mentality has cost us 500,000 American lives, the third biggest mass casualty event in US history. Small government is not the solution, it's the problem. So as this recovery continues to move forward and Republicans try their hardest to downplay the rising vaccination rates and falling unemployment numbers and higher wages and shrinking child poverty rates, just remember that they could have been part of the solution, but they decided that opposing Democrats was more important than helping Americans. To see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the notification bell. And please subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I not only break down the biggest stories of the week, but I also interview major players in the world of politics, including Vice President Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, Katie Porter, Pete Buttigieg, Cory Booker, Jamie Raskin, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.